This is episode 32 of the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast with the CIO of Gold's Gym, Adam Zeitsiff.
I don't think a day goes by where I don't hear the word millennial. And I don't think we as an industry, as a fitness industry, can look at millennials and underestimate how technology will disrupt our industry, because millennials think technology first and brick and mortar second. I mean, you ask any millennial what a payphone is or things of that nature, and they have no idea, or they don't even know that they don't even use their phones to call. They use them for buying and for texting, right? So there's lots of things that we have to consider as an industry that correlates.
Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. I am your host, Josh Trent, and this is your number one trusted resource for the accelerating world of fitness technology. Each week, we bring you an expert interview with a global influencer at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You'll gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse of what matters most for your fitness business in the age of exponential technologies. This podcast is brought to you by support from our outstanding sponsors, Brian O'Rourke and his family of companies, including Videri Ventures, Integris Advisors, Moon Mission Media, and many more. If you're looking for unmatched guidance, capital, insights, or a great speaker or facilitator, Brian and his partners are the go-to resource for your organization. To learn more, visit brianko'rourke.com. We'd also like to thank the Fitness Industry Technology Council, your nonprofit resource for reliable technology information, supported by forward-looking brands who are seeking to drive increased technology adoption in the fitness industry. Make a difference and join at fittechcouncil.org today. With the results now being calculated for the recent FitC Council's Technology Usage Survey, for episode 32, we're exploring the real answers for club owners around the adoption of new tech and when to recognize true disruption versus just loud media buzz. If you missed the survey, be sure to sign up for the FitC mailing list over at fittechcouncil.org by clicking on your show artwork. Today's podcast will help our industry address some of the important information about health clubs' use of technology, including how fitness facilities are using AI in retail. What is the real bridge between technology adoption and ROI, and how specific tech enhances your business to rise above the competition? We're learning from Chief Information Officer of Gold's Gym, Adam Zeitsiff, to get more clarity around what he believes are the four most powerful questions to ask when adopting any new piece of tech. These questions and the information from Adam's interview are a great template for all size clubs and a powerful guide when making decisions that owners can use to separate their facility from those that are frenetically adopting what seems to be disruptive tech, to taking the inventory of the four major ways to recognize real value. How do smart club owners and operators make the best decisions when experiencing adoption and disruption in our space? Let's step into this insightful conversation with Adam Zeitsiff. Adam Zeitsiff is the Chief Information Officer at Gold's Gym. He's a dynamic, entrepreneurial, and visionary leader with expertise in providing a game-changing edge to manage and grow company infrastructure, technology, and product development in highly competitive landscapes. A champion at executing and operating enterprise technology, Adam specializes in leading software and infrastructure solutions within companies for scale, sustainable growth with an out-of-the-box approach. Adam has a proven entrepreneurial spirit and battle-hardened tenacity through consistently achieving results through the application of both technology and business strategies. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Excited to be here.
As we were mentioning just a few seconds ago before we hit the record button, disruption, adoption. A lot of tech companies are moving rapidly into our space, but today I think what's on a lot of people's minds and what I'm excited to dive in with you on, Adam, is disruption and when we actually should know when to adopt. Before we dive into this really compelling topic, Adam, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Sure. Well, I'm about a year and a half into my role here as the CIO at Gold's Gym. We manage over 150 corporately owned clubs, as well as a total of 700 clubs globally for our franchisees. And I'm here really to drive the vision for technology, both our infrastructure and our member-facing technology, and really excited about some things we've done here and what we're looking forward to doing. And, I do this because I've grown over the last 22 years of being in technology, and 13 of those in the fitness space. I've really grown to love this industry, really grown to love what we can do to change people's lives, and really enjoy seeing over the last few years how technology has played an important role in that. And I think for the next decade or more is going to continue to do so. So I do this because it's a passion of mine, both technology and fitness, and excited to see how we can continue to change people's lives.
It's interesting. One of my previous careers before I got into fitness was in technology software sales. And one of the companies that I used to sell against was Easy Facility, your old facility. Give us a brief snapshot of your road. It seems like you've been one foot in technology the whole time leading up to Gold's.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I was a kid out of college learning programming languages and things that I was terrible at back in the day, and knew that I was not meant to be a programmer. I wasn't smart enough. And so I really took to technology, but took to the business side of it, and got my first job right out of college in marketing and technology for a computer systems integrator. And very quickly thereafter decided, I needed to be an entrepreneur and spread my wings and learn how to take some visions in my head and kind of grow those into my own business. And so started a business in the video conferencing and audio-visual space, and grew that with a partner to a very sizable company. And while there, started to see what entrepreneurial type people can do, and learning how other people in the company also had entrepreneurial visions. And some of those folks, about 9 years in, were two young guys who had the brainchild behind Easy Facility. And after we sold one of our divisions off in that business and decided, this is a unique opportunity. And so Easy Facility was kind of born as a startup. And I was a board advisor and an investor, and then came on within a year as the president of the company, and kind of grew that business from a small SaaS provider. Back in that day, SaaS was, no one really knew what that word meant. So we were a SaaS provider in the sports facility scheduling and management space, and then very quickly moved to the fitness space for personal trainers and group fitness and things of that nature, and then really blossomed that company and that product into a full-blown club and facility management software system, which it is today, and really providing to the small to mid-market space a unique offering that's cost-effective but powerful, and really helps them run their business. So it was a nice entrance for a bunch of years in technology, and then lo and behold, some really smart kids that worked for me had some visions, and we came together, and next thing you know, it's been the last 12 or so years in the fitness industry.
This IRSA Technology Council, it's interesting. This year we had our FitC roundtable, and there was a lot of discussions around people coming together through technology. Can you paint a picture of what the IRSA Technology Council is, why you're there, what's their main directive?
Yeah, I think for as long as IRSA has existed, it's been such a great, governance and advisor to club owners for so many different things: how to run your clubs, best practices for new fitness innovations, and how to help members, and everything that IRSA has done over the years, how to run a more profitable business. And technology has always been something that, especially over the last decade, that has really kind of perplexed many club owners, especially the small to mid-market club owners. And they've never really had anyone to turn to other than people who want to have a check written to them to get advice on technology. And so I think IRSA realized that if we can have a technology council that is made up of varying size and scope of club operators, and also some vendors who have the best interests of our club operating groups in mind, we can give them a forum to give advice and to give an idea of what other companies are doing within technology, how they've adopted things, what they learned from them, what worked, what didn't, and just give them a forum to understand all these things, and with someone who actually cares about their business, number one, and someone who actually knows about their business, because we're all industry people. And so that's really the objective, and to provide reports and data and information that says, here's what we've learned as a group, both operators and vendors, and here's how we think this can help your club, and here's what we've learned, and here's the mistakes we made, and please by all means use this to help your business grow. And so that's really the goal, and then I'm really excited to be involved in that group, and I think we can certainly make a difference, especially as the rate of technology change continues to increase.
One of the things I saw on the IRSA website is there was a key point in the meeting this year in Boston: capturing and interpreting the articulated and unarticulated needs of the industry's current and future customers relating to technology and innovation. Let's look at this space of disruption. How would you define disruption now? I mean, when we hear the word disruption, it's obvious to our brain. We might think, okay, something's going to change quickly. But when we look at tech, Adam, how would you define disruption? What does true disruption mean?
I mean, in tech, true disruption means either creating a brand new industry through disruptive technologies that didn't exist, but the technology helped create it. Or in my mind, it also means an existing industry that you could literally turn on its head by introducing technology that changes the core way that industry operates, right? And so we're seeing that in the fitness industry. Certainly, we're seeing products that are coming out and creating whole new revenue streams and aspects of the fitness industry. But at the same time, we are seeing a technology that could certainly turn an industry up on its head, right? And you take a look at an example I always give to my team is, you have the Blockbuster example, where Blockbuster was out there and they were an industry that was brick and mortar, kind of like ours, and they were out there and they were growing and they were providing a great service. And then someone like a Netflix comes along, and all of a sudden Netflix is there and take a look at Netflix and you don't take it seriously, or you don't think it's going to disrupt an entire industry and turn it on its head, but we all know what happened there. And so that's how we define it, and I think you've got to keep an eye out for something that's brand new that's going to tie into the industry in parallel, or something that's going to turn it upside down.
What do you think they missed looking back? What do you think that these corporate heads of someone like Blockbuster or Kodak, these big misses that they didn't see, was it pride, or did they just not have the right retail front or different pieces that they were doing to actually recognize the change?
It was a couple of things. I think at the time they underestimated whichever generation that was a decade ago, maybe Generation X at that point, Generation Y, and how fast they would adopt something from a technology standpoint, right? And so they thought, oh, it'll take a decade or more for people to understand that maybe this will work, maybe it won't, but it will always be here because people always want to come and get their movies, and this is something that it's just always has been, and this will continue to be. So I think they underestimated that piece of it, and I think the second part of it was strictly they just weren't as knowledgeable about what technology can do and the quality it can bring. And even back then, the internet was still continuing to grow, and quality of service was still an issue. But now with people with 100 to 1 gigabit connections in their homes for $50, $60 a month, these technologies can be delivered in a much more seamless environment, and they didn't think that would happen as quickly back then. And I think that correlates to us now because we have this whole generation that we talk about every day. I don't think a day goes by where I don't hear the word millennial, and I don't think we as an industry, as a fitness industry, can look at millennials and underestimate how technology will disrupt our industry, because millennials think technology first and brick and mortar second. I mean, you ask any millennial what a payphone is or things of that nature, and they have no idea, or they don't even know that they don't even use their phones to call. They use them for buying and for texting, right? So there's lots of things that we have to consider as an industry that correlates.
One of the great things I've heard you say is that you either disrupt or you get disrupted. When we look at this technology adoption curve, we'll link this in our show notes today. It's Rogers' bell curve. There are obviously the early innovators, the adopters that come in, but then once we reach that tipping point towards the top, there's the early and late majority, and of course, followed by the laggards. What have you seen looking back over the past 5 years in technology? What are the data-driven actions that clubs should be aware of to be an early adopter?
The first and foremost is just continuing to talk to their members, right? Their members, especially now, especially with millennials. If you look at today forward, millennials are the ones who are driving. I mean, at our company, millennials are a huge part of our member base already. And so I think it's really important to stay close to them, talk to them, have your management team talk to them, see what they're utilizing on their phone, what's the most recent app they downloaded. Really get in touch with these guys. That group is certainly the ones that are leading that early adopter status on the bell curve. That group is not getting any smaller, and they're the ones who can give some insight as to what they're seeing. Because there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there, and there's a lot of media press, and that doesn't mean something's being disrupted. That means somebody got a press release out there and people picked up on it, right? It doesn't mean that technology is here to stay. And so we, as operators, need to look at it and always be talking and always be learning and always using the various groups that people are a part of, and they travel around on a quarterly basis and get together with their co-owners and colleagues and really understand what each other are doing and what they're hearing from their members. And I think it starts with them, because that group is certainly on the left side of that curve, and we need to see what they're doing on their way up to see what's going to get them over the top.
So what I'm hearing from you is it's not always about identifying when something's disrupting by looking at a KPI or a specific data point. It's just having conversations with members face to face. Is that correct?
It is, especially when we're in such a lot of our operators in our industry, they're very regionally and neighborhood focused, and, what's going on in Washington, D.C., it might not affect somebody in Bellevue, Washington, right? And everything in between. And we need to be looking in our neighborhoods and talking to our members and seeing what's happening. And people who have clubs in college towns need to be focused on that demographic even more, because that affects their business, so much quicker than it would somewhere else.
How do we get members to take action on a key survey? Because what I'm hearing from you is, yes, there is certain things as far as data we can look at, but there's nothing that replaces that old-fashioned conversation about, hey, what do you really need? What do you really want in the club? Have you seen across the board at Gold's different kind of surveys, or what is enticing to people to actually participate in a survey and speak their truth?
Yeah, we're still learning that ourselves. And we send out surveys pretty regularly here, and we review them, but we're still doing it sort of the old-fashioned way, after an event, whether they came on board, after a training session, after they left. And I think we're still trying to learn that ourselves. What is the best way? I think, making use of tablet technology in your clubs for $99 and creating a free survey where you can just give that to your staff and ask them to walk around. And it's short and sweet. It's 3 or 4 questions, but it gets you the answers you need. And they're strictly yes, no answers, or they're a number where you can just click on a little button and it saves it. And, we're seeing that to become more effective, especially with people that you know and they're a friendly person in the club. But we're still trying to figure out what that silver bullet is as it relates to really getting people to follow through and what entices them to want to give something back.
And we obviously don't want to just adopt technology frenetically. We want to understand really adopting technology with a purpose. What do you feel like now Golds is doing to adopt technology with a purpose as far as just the adoption piece?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at things and when we evaluate technology here is we love to see technology hit at least two of the following four kind of areas, right? So before you implement new technology, will it improve your operational agility, right? Will it make you faster? Will it make your team be able to service members quicker and sign them up quicker and give them the services they're looking for? Will it make a positive impact on your staff, right? If you adopt some new technology, will that technology make your staff's job easier? Will it give them quicker access to information? Will it help them improve their ability to sell so they can make more money and see more satisfied members and personally be satisfied? Enhancing the member experience is another one. Will technology make your members enjoy their experience more in their club? Will it help them achieve their health outcomes in your club because of the technology you deployed? And then lastly, create new revenue streams. If you have technology that you deploy, it needs to, of these 2 to 4 things that we look for it to do, can you create new revenue streams? Is it just going to be something that I'm going to pay for and not see any return on? Am I going to pay for it and see return just by way of increased membership sales or increased personal training sales? Or does that technology itself have a specific revenue associated with it, where you launch a new service based on a technology, which is a whole new revenue stream that you can deploy in your clubs, and now you have another, instead of a towel service, it's a technology-based add-on that you can charge for, right? So operational agility, impact on your staff, impact on the member experience, and impact on revenue streams. If it can hit 2 of those 4 things, in my mind, when we look at it, I think it's something that you should consider and at least do a trial on and see what it looks like in your clubs.
How do the smart clubs bridge this gap between new adoption, understanding that it's the right fit, and the disruption that technology creates? Because we obviously know there's a shakeup, and then there's a period of time where people are figuring out if it's a fit. What do you look for to see if something's a fit after there's been a big disruption?
Right off the top of my head, one of the things would be, can it affect the in-club member experience? I mean, technology is so beneficial because technology it really has no borders, most technology, right? And so it really, for us, it's not only is it past that curve of, hey, innovators and early adopters, and is it hitting up the bell curve, but is it also something that will affect their member experience inside of our club? Because whether you're Golds or whether you're just, Sally's Gym on the corner, whatever it may be, you want people to come in your clubs and have a great experience in there, and that's what they pay for. And so if the technology not only disrupts the industry a little bit and gives them a better experience, but that most of that experience can be inside of your clubs and inside your 4 walls with a little bit outside, I think that becomes a winner, and that becomes something that we look at that says, okay, it's not just disrupting out there for no reason, or it's not just something we should adopt because we think, but it's because it'll make the experience inside our 4 walls better, which is why people pay us and why they value our brand.
I'm thinking about our episode with Robert Dyer, the one thing in fitness that hasn't changed, regardless of all of the exponential technology growth. And that is something we'll link in the show notes, because you're right, Adam, people, this is a people business.
Sure.
But there are some incredible tools like a BI engine that can help club owners make smarter decisions. How do you define a BI engine for people that might not know? How does BI engines help clubs and CRM serve consumers?
Yeah, I mean, in the simplest terms, a BI engine really is something that takes all the key data points within your club, whether it's check-in data, whether it's revenue data, whether it's membership and training and sessions and free classes and attrition. It just really takes all that data and it provides it and presents it in something that is easy to understand, usually in dashboard format, where you, as a business owner or operator, can really, at a glimpse, understand what all that data means in a snapshot to help you make intelligent decisions on a day-to-day basis and make some sense out of all this stuff. There's so much data sitting in your club management software system. There's so much data sitting in your CRM system, maybe in your email system, you name what other systems you have there. If you're using stuff to manage personal training and workouts and things like that. And really your BI engine is something that is supposed to aggregate all that data into a single source for you and help you, along with your consultants and your IT staff, to translate that into something where, at a snapshot, by looking at a screen, that BI engine can help you make smart decisions, help you see trends quickly, day over day, week over week, month over month, and then go and act on that data where that data normally would not be talking to each other because it's siloed out in other areas. And so this is something that, although for smaller operators can be quite scary, and where data and data warehouses that would take all that data and bring it all together and then present it in kind of a BI format for you used to be extremely expensive. But now it's something that even the small to mid-size operator can certainly afford while leveraging some of these outside services without having to worry about making a large capital investment in some of these things.
And when we look at outside spaces, one of the things that's come up in a few conversations is what are the other industries that are using business intelligence, BI engines to drive smart data and actionable decisions outside of the fitness space? What can we learn from them? I'm curious, when we look at the retail space in fitness, though, how do you see AI and this BI engine, specifically machine learning, being something that we can use with the fitness industry?
Yeah, I mean, the retail is a great example. I mean, and always keeping up to speed. I mean, we are a form of retail, but when, in retail in terms of just whether it's 1-800-Flowers or clothing operators or you name it, I mean, there's so many people out there who are using BI and artificial intelligence to kind of become like a personal assistant is one example. So there's plenty of retailers out there who are taking BI and AI powered type environments, machine learning, and saying, hey, what do we like? What are the preferences of my users? What do they keep selecting? And how do I use that data that Adam keeps selecting when he buys stuff to get smarter and predict what type of gift he might want to buy next time he's on and give him examples? And if I type in, hey, I'm looking for a gift for mom, that AI tool that's built into a lot of these retailers now will be able to know my history, see the trends, everything I've done, clicked, viewed, and put that together to make suggestions for me and to make my buying decisions even easier because it puts it right in front of me, right? And so a lot of retailers are doing that, and you're using AI for AI-powered product selectors, like, for example, where recommendation engines based upon certain things, based on where you live, questions that you have, what activities you do, and they're basically using those AI-powered recommendation engines to say, you know what, Adam, based upon these three things, this is the jacket you should be wearing, or these are the socks you might like, or this is the suit you'll like, or whatever it may be. So retail's certainly taking AI and data and insights and turning it into making buying decisions easier. And I think as an industry, we still have a lot to learn from that and can learn from that. And hopefully over the next few years, we can turn that same data into something that will help our members make better decisions, easier buying decisions, and stay with our clubs longer.
Just a few weeks back, there was an article in VentureBeat where IBM quoting 65% of millennials prefer interacting with bots to talking to live agents, as well as to get more accustomed to it. This number is projected to only go up across all population segments. When we look at chatbots and automating messaging, do you feel like the millennials really want to be communicative through text and no longer with their voice?
I certainly think so, and I think the feedback we have seen, definitely corresponds to that. And I think, as operators, we need to look at things like taking our joint online and turning it into more of a bot type thing or an AI-powered type thing where you can ask a few questions online, interact with those millennials, and hey, based upon the answers you gave us, Mr. or Mrs. Millennial, here's what we think would be the right membership for you, and here's even the trainer we think you might gel with, and why don't you take a free trial with this trainer when you first come into the club and ask for Joe, because based upon the answers you gave us, you and Joe have a lot of the same interests, right? So there are plenty of things that we can learn from, and bots, I think, are certainly one where if you take that experience, I think that's where millennials like to buy things to begin with. They don't really want to interface with people. They want to come into a club and have a 20-minute pitch. No, they want to go online, make a decision, answer a few questions, be told what they want or what they probably would work well for them, and they want to go try it and just walk in and maybe get the barcode from when they walk in the front door, but that's about it.
And I'm thinking about meeting the members at their deepest need, which also includes, Adam, using the language they want to hear. And so what I'm hearing from you is that this BI engine and the machine learning, the type of things that artificial intelligence can do for the club, it's a multitude of ways. It's understanding where the customers are through location data. It's also managing inventory. And it's really delivering some context and some contextual marketing at the best moment for people that are actually using their mobile device. How is Golds looking at the future? What's ahead on the horizon for Golds as far as AI and contextual marketing opportunities for consumers that are basically married to their cell phone?
Yeah, I mean, we're right in the middle of that right now. So our marketing team is working closely with our technology teams and with some of the outsourced firms that we use, and we're understanding all of our sources of data. We're understanding our trends. We're starting to certainly see at Golds our trend over the last few years is not only shifting to millennial, but even female millennial as well. So we're excited about that, and we're right now in the middle of looking at all the opportunities that we have to understand how we can change how we interface with a certain subset of our members and what we offer to them. And so we are knee deep in it, and I think over the next 12 months, we're going to start to be able to take some of these tools And all this data that we have over the last 50 plus years, and especially over the last few with millennials, and really put it to good use for us.
AI is going to continue in price to come down. What do we as an industry need to figure out? It seems like you and Golds are doing that right now so that we understand how that iBeacon, Nearfield, and the AI affordability actually applies to us.
Yeah, I think for the average size operator, I think really certainly talk to everybody in the industry and see what they're up to, number one. Number two, I think we need to look at this technology and certainly rely on the experts, right? Just because someone says, hey, Beacon Technology is where it's going to be, or Nearfield Technology, certainly try it out. I mean, there are definitely ways you can try certain things, whether it's Beacon, Nearfield Technology, geotagging in your club. Just give it a go in your mobile app and see if it'll help with one particular thing, and just see the reaction to your members and even speak to them about it, because we need to understand what's good for the goose isn't always good for everybody, right? And so we need to understand as an industry how all these technologies for a very large 60, 70, 80,000 square foot box might really have tons of applications, but for the smaller box might only have one or two. I would suggest that everyone understand what that might be and try it with one simple thing. For example, in your retail shops, try something where maybe iBeacon or Nearfield will allow you to come in and recognize where somebody is and pop up something on their mobile app that says, hey, by the way, we have these new protein bars. They're right in front of you. They're 10% off today. Give them a try, right? Simple stuff, and just gauge reaction first, and then go from there and see where else you can expand it into the club. And, the gym of the future for technology where, you walk around and all of a sudden a hologram comes up and tells you how to do squats the right way. We're a little bit off from that, but we can all, even the smallest club can start somewhere and see how this can affect their member experience and improve revenue.
I really enjoyed how we've been talking about how to identify what actually fits. And what I heard from you a few times was don't just immediately jump on the adoption bandwagon. Understand how it fits in the club, if there's context with your members, and really see if there's something we can get from the start to the finish of the member journey that actually provides them value. When we look at corporate wellness, there is a big part of technology that's driving that. Gold's Gym has been serving corporate wellness for many years. What do you see as the needs of corporate wellness when we intersect fitness and tech over the next 12 to 24 months?
There's a lot of things going on in this space, and I think whether you're adopting technology for your retail members, whether you're adopting technology for corporate wellness, number one, I think certainly don't be afraid to fail. Fail and fail quickly, and that's something I always talk to our team about. If we're going to try something, try it very cost effective, and don't be afraid to fail quickly. If it don't like the way it's working, pull the plug. Don't spend more money on it, and go on to the next thing and see how your members react to that. So I think that's important no matter what you're doing. And I think in corporate wellness, there's been a lot of things going on there in terms of wearables, for example. Wearables are great. Wearables have a lot of benefit to those who use them. People can say wearables are already done and they're gone, but I think wearables are here to stay in just different iterations, right? And I do think with this studies shown, and of course I can't cite them right now, but maybe we can cite them in the notes, that companies who utilize wearables within their corporate wellness environments have significantly longer stay and play from their staff and see better health outcomes at the end of the program than those who don't. And I just saw this article a few weeks ago, and I think that's important for people to understand. If you use technology within a small group, a company full of people who can get on board, use technology to see what each other are doing and track, I think that's going to be very helpful to corporate wellness, and that will make those programs even stickier. So that's one thing. And I think in corporate wellness over the next 12 to 24 months, I think people that we talk to are looking for more of a holistic approach. Okay, great. I'd like a discounted membership. That's great. I'd like some technology, but how can you take that to the next level and give me a holistic approach to making my employees healthier? And we're not exactly sure what that's going to play out yet, but I think that's something that as an industry we need to solve.
Well, I love how honest and open you've been about this discovery process, even for a chain as big as Gold's. Adam, this is the last part of the show. This is our Fit 6 round. It's 6 questions for 6 of your real answers. Are you ready?
Sure.
Looking back, what's one of the biggest moments that was pivotal? Did you learn a lesson or garner information that supports what you do today? What was a big lesson you might have learned in your past that helped you grow into where you are?
I think there was a lot of them. I think one of the big ones that sticks out to me is back in my entrepreneurial days, although you never lose them, but when we sold our first company and division thereof, and I think you see the positive effect and sometimes the negative effect that has on people. And I think looking back at that told me that, no matter what happens, no matter what technology you're involved in, people still drive technology. And that taught me that, yes, we sold the business. Lots of people benefited financially. Some benefited shorter and longer. Some people were affected pretty soon thereafter. And always remember that no matter what technology is out there you're adopting or you're looking at, that there's people behind it. And I always think about that in every decision I make, and how is this going to affect the people, my people, the team's people, the company's people, our customers. And that was a good lesson for a young entrepreneur to understand.
Learning new skill sets can be challenging, especially if there's not the right motivation from the top down. What's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever given, or maybe even you've received, when it comes to learning a new skill set? How do you learn new technology yourself?
I mean, for me, I consider myself average intelligence. I wasn't smart enough to be a software developer, but at the same time, for me, I just dive right in. And if I can figure out technology, if I can take my CIO hat off and put on my user hat on, and it's fairly straightforward to adopt and easy to learn, and I don't need the manual in my pocket all the time, I just dive in myself, hands-on. And if I can do it as an average consumer, I feel that it's something we should at least continue to look at, and people might have an equal opportunity chance to learn it and adopt it and not get frustrated and throw it against the wall, which I self-admittedly have done before. So,
what's something in our industry space that might have surprised you in the past couple of years?
That's a good one. I think for me, over the last few years, it's maybe how some of the technology folks in the industry have been reluctant to get along, so to speak. And I think it's getting better, but I don't think it happened fast enough. And I think sometimes that's why maybe in our space, whether it's industry standards or technology for software or hardware or equipment, I think we've learned that other industries can tell us that the sooner you become more friendly to each other, co-opetition and standards emerge and things of that nature, the industry will grow. And video conferencing was a great example. When I first got into that 22 years ago, there was standards had just been formed. They were just being adopted so that System A could talk to System B. And then all of a sudden that industry exploded. And I think that's something that our industry, although growing and is a big industry, I'm a little surprised that we haven't done that faster.
I loved your term cooperation. How did you come up with that? Do you feel like there is truly space to compete and to collaborate as we look forward?
No, I certainly think there is. I think the operators have done a good job of that. Roundtables and things of that nature. Operators have done a good job of that. I think it's just providers in our space need to do a little better job of saying, look, we compete. We sure do. We want some of the same share of the pie, but at the same time, we're not going to each get our share. We don't at least do some things that are going to help the experience of our operators a little bit better.
These barriers of entry to fitness, there's been so many companies as far as technology and SaaS providers that have hopped in quickly here. What do you believe, Adam, that separates the great SaaS platforms from the good?
The bottom line, honest answer right now, it's compatibility and API. You could have the best software that does the best job at accounting or CRM or managing a club or you name it, email, marketing. If it can't talk to 6 other pieces of software that I have in my company through API, if they're not always updating those APIs regularly, if they're not always compatible, forget it. It's not worth the wait it's built on. So a great SaaS platform has tremendous APIs, has a whole team focused on those, so that if I want to adopt that platform, it can easily talk to other places, whether it's other software systems or just other sources of data it needs to do its job. That's going to be a differentiator for me.
So really the API is the leading vulnerable piece. If something can't talk to something else, if 2 data sets cannot intertwine, there's no value to the CRM, there's no value to the club owner, correct?
Correct. 100%.
What's been one of the greatest influences you might have had, or maybe a mentor in your career or life?
For me, is certainly my grandfather. He's a World War II and Korean War vet, and then came back and for 50 years was an entrepreneur, a lighting manufacturing company, custom lighting all over the New England area. And I always grew up watching him run his business, having his employees respect him, watched him take care of his employees as if they were family. And so to me, that was a big influence, and that's what made me want to become an entrepreneur and kind of be the same way and treat people the same way as I tried to grow businesses just like he did.
There's an intersection that we're at right now, and it's fitness and technology. As you sit here with all your experience, decades in our space, what new possibilities for health and business both do you see coming up?
Yeah, I think if we as operators take a step back and don't be overwhelmed by all this technology and just look at it step by step, I really do see some tremendous possibilities in having engaged members like we've never had before. We have the benefit of having the health club. All the operators have years of experience that maybe some of the technology folks don't have or who are trying to disrupt this space. So I think really the unique opportunity for us is we can leverage the experience as operators that no one else has. We can tie it to the technology better than just the technology providers. So I think that gives us a much bigger opportunity to monetize technology, to keep members longer, to keep them more engaged, A member who can use an app to try to become healthy by themselves is not going to have the same level of experience that a member that has a gym with staff people, intelligent people with degrees who can help them with that technology as well achieve much better health outcomes. So I think we have a ridiculous opportunity as operators to do better than just the technology itself or the rogue startups that are trying to disrupt our space. And you take a combination of our, fitness industry, health industry, business industry that we're in, and the technology, and I think we have the chance to combine it like no one else can. And I think that's what excites me the most.
Tell us, just as parting guidance for all the trainers and club owners and just industry professionals that are out there listening, what is one thing they can take away from today's show to always remain curious and keep an open mind when it comes to tech?
Yeah, I think, like I said, try. Definitely go out there and try and see how that tech will affect your business and use it yourself. First and foremost, make yourself that guinea pig and try it, if that's one takeaway. And then, like I said, the other one is certainly don't be afraid to fail quickly. Take a small budget that you know that is not going to break your business and say, I'm willing to spend this much, I'm willing to give it this much time, and if I don't see X, Y, and Z outcomes or close to it, I'm going to stop. We'll fail quickly. Right? And we're going to continue on and try something else. You can't succeed until you fail, and so that would be my advice, is try it. Don't be afraid to fail, and you'll find eventually the one that helps you succeed.
Adam Zeitsiff, thanks so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Adam believes there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there, and a lot of media press around tech disruption. But that alone doesn't mean something is truly being disrupted. That means somebody got a press release and people picked it up. Operators must take the time to really look at these things, always be talking, and learning to stay in touch with colleagues to see the real difference between adoption and disruption in our space. For the operators that choose to have a mindset of learning, who look at all the tech changes with a step-by-step process, Adam believes there's tremendous possibility to have more engaged members than ever before. The big opportunity with disruption is that operators in our space hold years of experience that some of the technology providers that are trying to disrupt just don't have. By leveraging new tech and the deeper experience of longtime clubs, revenue and member satisfaction will rise. One of the most pivotal questions to ask when adopting new technology is around its positive effect of the member experience. Fitness tech has now created a world without borders. It's not only past the curve of innovators and early adopters, but it's also something that will dramatically affect the member experience inside of the club. At the end of the day, you want people to come into your facility and have a great experience. So the tech must disrupt the industry with the sole purpose of improving the member's experience within the four walls. Thank you for listening to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. Here's a quick message from Brian O'Rourke.
Hey, Josh, thanks so much for doing this great podcast. Friends, if you're enjoying this podcast, you're really going to enjoy following at Fit Tech Council. Follow me at Brian K. O'Rourke. And you'd really, really do us a big favor if you could go on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this and give us a 5-star. If you're enjoying it, please give us a 5-star and please share this podcast. Help spread the word about technology and the great opportunities it is creating for our industry space. Thanks so much for listening.